Chapter 28:30. Patriarch? Patriarch? What's wrong with you? The guards called out to him anxiously, but they only saw him staring at them with bloodshot eyes and mumbling, "Ah." Seeing this, Fengjiu smiled. "Why aren't you sending your patriarch back? It'll be troublesome if you're late." Hearing this, the guards couldn't care less about her and hurriedly sent their patriarch back to the residence. Lao Bai was stunned and asked, "Master, why is his mouth crooked? Did he talk too much?" Fengjiu patted his head and smiled. "Yes, he talks too much and has a bad temper. That's why it's good to cultivate one's heart and temperament. Only by cultivating one's heart and temperament can one's temperament be nurtured. Let's go. Let's go back to the city lord's residence." "All right," Lao Bai replied, and only then did he lead her towards the city lord's mansion. After entering the city lord's residence, she first returned to the courtyard and asked someone to find a few elders. They entered the courtyard and saw Fengjiu sitting at the stone table drinking tea. They walked forward and called out, "Ghost Doctor." She had been here for a few days, and they knew that she was called Ghost Doctor. However, they still didn't know where she came from. "Has everything been arranged?" Fengjiu looked at them and asked. "Don't worry, Ghost Doctor. We've already sent the invitation to the big families. They'll come tomorrow," one of the elders said and then paused. "We've already arranged for the Hao family to leave." They discussed for a while in the courtyard and left after handing over the matters. Fengjiu also went into his room to cultivate until the next morning. Early in the morning, the few patriarchs in the city were invited and entered the residence one after another. On this day, the Hong family's old master and patriarch Hong also arrived at the city lord's residence early. When everyone sat in the hall, they realized that the most bad-tempered patriarch Yu hadn't arrived yet. "Why isn't Patriarch Yu here yet? I thought he would be the first to arrive." "Yes. Why isn't he here yet?" "Yesterday, Patriarch Yu was still guarding outside the Hong residence and refused to leave. I wonder what happened after that? Could it be that you already knew what was going to happen here, so you didn't plan to come?" The few of them laughed and chatted. Just as they were talking, they saw someone pushing a wheelchair over. When they saw the person in the wheelchair, they couldn't help but be stunned. Isn't this Patriarch Yu? Why are you in a wheelchair? Your mouth is crooked too. Why is half of your body shaking?" The few people in the hall looked on in astonishment. It had only been a day, how could it have become like this? After Patriarch Yu was pushed into the room, his gaze swept across the people inside, but he didn't see the woman in red. Thus, he opened his crooked mouth and asked in a muffled voice, Where is that woman in red?" "He's not here yet." "Patriarch Yu, what's wrong with you?" one of the patriarchs asked in surprise. Patriarch Yu widened his eyes and seemed to want to say something, but his crooked mouth wasn't easy to speak. He just took a deep breath and didn't speak again. "My family's patriarch met that woman in red in the alley yesterday. He was so angered by her that his mouth was crooked and half of his body was paralyzed. Yesterday, the doctor in the manor came to see him. After treatment, he could barely speak," a guard said as he stood respectfully behind Patriarch Yu. Chapter 28:31. Not long after, Fengjiu, dressed in red, walked in with a few elders following behind him. As the crowd watched them enter, their gazes naturally fell on the beautiful woman in red. This was the woman in red? She was so beautiful. Just as they were thinking, they saw the woman in red sitting on the main seat in the hall. Everyone's eyes flickered when they saw where she sat. The elders stood on Fengjiu's left and right. They looked at everyone in the hall and said, "I've called everyone here today because I have something to announce." As the elder spoke, his gaze swept past everyone before landing on the Hong clan's father and son. He continued, "The city lord has abdicated his position. After our discussion, we have decided to elect a successor to the city lord position. This person is the Hong clan's clan leader." Everyone widened their eyes in shock when they heard this. They looked at the elder who spoke, as well as Hong Clan's father and son, who were unperturbed and unfazed. Let Hong Clan's patriarch succeed the city lord? That's right. The elder nodded. In the future. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by one of them. Who was the one who picked them out? I want to know. All the people from the various aristocratic families in the city are so outstanding. How can Hong Clan's patriarch succeed the city lord? I hope there's an explanation that can convince us. The elder glanced at the patriarch, and then he gazed at Feng Jiu and continued, This isn't a discussion, and it's a notification of our decision. I think that it shouldn't concern you at all who the members of our city governor's estate elects to become the city governor, right? Hearing this, the patriarch frowned and said in a deep voice, How is it unrelated? There are so many people who are more outstanding than him. Why him? Also, who is this woman in red? Could it be that you chose Hong Clan's patriarch to succeed the city lord because of this woman in red? His sharp gaze landed on Fengjiu. His gaze was as sharp as a knife and carried an inquisitive look. What ability did this woman have? How could she make them listen to her? Haha, that's where you're wrong. Does our city lord's mansion need your approval to choose someone? The great elder sneered. Like I said, I invited you all here today to inform you, not to listen to your opinions. Hearing these words, the family head only felt anger in his heart. Although he was not convinced, if the city lord's mansion and the Hong family's forces were to join forces, they had no choice but to be wary. Compared to the family head, the other family heads were focused on the woman in red. Seeing her sitting quietly and drinking tea, they didn't pay attention to the family head's words. They couldn't help but secretly size her up. This woman's strength was unfathomable, and her bearing was extraordinary. Why would such a person suddenly intervene in the affairs of this city? He really couldn't understand. However, other than the people from the city lord's mansion and the Hong clan, no one else knew about this. Haha, we've been sitting here for so long, but we still don't know how to address this lady? One of the family heads asked as he looked at Fengjiu, who was drinking tea. Hearing this, the elder and family head Hong both glanced at Fengjiu. Fengjiu looked up at the family head and said with a smile, Ghost Doctor. Ghost Doctor. Chapter 28:32. Patriarch, you spoke in agitation and nervousness. Because he spoke too quickly, his voice was not clear. He waved one hand and pointed at Fengjiu, wanting to say something, but in the end, he was too anxious to say anything. The guard knew what the woman in red had said at that time, and what the patriarch had said after the treatment, so when he saw the patriarch shouting there, he said, Ghost Doctor, our patriarch would like you to treat his illness. As long as you cure our patriarch's illness, our Yu family will definitely reward you handsomely. Yes, yes, yes. Patriarch Yu hurriedly nodded and looked at Fengjiu, looking at her with hope. When he went back, he remembered that she said he was sick. Today, when he saw that the Hong family's patriarch had woken up from his coma, how could he not know that this woman in red was a doctor? Now, he only hoped that she could cure his illness and let him recover to his original state. When the others heard this, their hearts couldn't help but tremble. Did something happen to Patriarch Yu yesterday that they didn't know about? Yesterday, he seemed to have been waiting for this woman in red at the Hong family. Did something happen later that they didn't know about? This won't be easy. Fengjiu said carelessly, glancing at him and saying with a faint smile, Patriarch Yu's illness is caused by the heat of the heart attacking his heart, causing his blood vessels to be blocked. To put it bluntly, it's a mild stroke. If this isn't treated well, his mouth will always be crooked like this, half of his body will be weak, and his movements will be hindered. Patriarch Yu panicked when he heard this. He crooked his mouth and called out vaguely, Ghost Doctor. All right, you guys can chat. I'll return to the courtyard first. Fengjiu said, leaving the matter to them to discuss among themselves. Patriarch Yu panicked when he saw Fengjiu leave just like that. Seeing that his pleading was useless, he couldn't help but look at Patriarch Hong. Hong. He pushed his wheelchair forward with one hand, hoping that Patriarch Hong could help him. Seeing this, Patriarch Hong glanced at his father. Finally, he said, I can help you put in a good word, but whether the ghost doctor is willing to help, we can't guarantee that. Thank you. Patriarch Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Seeing this scene, the eyes of several people in the hall flashed slightly. After sitting for a while, they got up and said their goodbyes. The other patriarchs left first while Patriarch Yu stayed behind. Patriarch Hong and his son went to Fengjiu's courtyard. When the two of them arrived at the courtyard, they saw her sitting there. The father and son looked at each other and walked in. Ghost doctor. Yes. Fengjiu was flipping through a book in his hand. He only responded faintly and did not look at them. Ghost doctor, I wonder if you can take a look at Patriarch Yu. If he continues to be like this in the future, I'm afraid that the Yu family will be in chaos. Fengjiu smiled. He put down the book in his hand and looked at the two of them. Let him come over. Hearing this, the Hong family's father and son were slightly surprised, but soon understood. The ghost doctor wanted family head Yu to owe their Hong family a favor. Thinking of this, the two of them couldn't help but feel grateful. They bowed deeply to her. Thank you, ghost doctor. They didn't expect that she would think of such leeway for them. As it turned out, she had already agreed to treat Patriarch Yu long ago. She didn't agree on the spot, but gave this favor to them so that they would have the support of the Yu family in the future. Chapter 28:33. With Fengjiu's permission, they brought Patriarch Yu over and watched her treat him in the courtyard in the evening. When Patriarch Yu was sent back, his mouth was no longer crooked, but he still couldn't control half of his body. He was already very grateful because he heard the ghost doctor say that he would recover after half a month of recuperation. How could he not be excited by such a result? After he returned to the residence, he sent someone to deliver gifts of thanks. Fengjiu accepted them without any hesitation. That day, the Hong family arranged for an auspicious day to stay in the city lord's residence. The city lord's residence also released the news that the city lord had changed hands and was now Patriarch Yu of the Hong family. When this news was released, everyone in the city couldn't help but cheer. It could only be said that the Hong family had won the hearts of the people in the city, and it was also expected that they would become the city lord. The next day, when the Hong family came to Fengjiu's courtyard again, they found that the white horse and her had disappeared. At the same time, in the peach blossom cove of the former Phoenix dynasty, a red figure strolled through the peach blossom forest like a fairy that had fallen into the mortal world. A gentle breeze brushed past her face, causing peach blossoms to fall. Her red dress gently swayed as she walked, blooming into beautiful flowers. They were like ripples on water, spreading out in circles. It was truly beautiful. She hadn't returned since she left. Now that she looked at this place again, she felt that nothing had changed. She sighed in her heart and felt a mix of emotions. Just as she was walking through the peach blossom forest, she faintly heard a familiar voice. This place is Xiaojiu's Peach Blossom Cove. She used to stay here often. It's rare for you to come back, so take a good look. Guan Xilin's voice sounded in the peach blossom forest. When she heard this voice, Fengjiu was slightly surprised, then smiled. So it was her brother? Did he bring Feng Yi and the others here to play? As she thought this, she restrained her aura and followed the voice. When she came to a peach blossom forest, she saw that they were indeed there. She saw her brother standing under a tree, while Feng Yi and Zhao Yang were sitting on a peach tree, swinging their legs. She smiled and hid her figure well. She picked a peach blossom and flew it towards Feng Yi. Guan Xilin under the tree saw this and immediately shouted, "Who's there?" At the same time, he reached out his hand to block the peach blossom. Seeing this, the smile on Fengjiu's face deepened. She shot a few more peach blossoms, and this time, not only attacked Feng Yi and Zhao Yang, but also Guan Xilin. Guan Xilin blocked some of the peach blossoms. Seeing that the peach blossoms were not fierce and did not have any murderous intent, he was puzzled. He took a step back and saw that the peach blossoms were only attacking Feng Yi and the young man. It was more like the peach blossoms were toying with them than attacking them. SSTSSSSS. Was it little 9? Xiao Jiu's here? This girl's not here, but hiding in the dark to tease us. He shook his head inwardly. Feng Jiu leaned out and waved at him. At this time, Feng Yi and Zhao Yang shouted, "Who dares to sneak up on us?" The two jumped down from the peach tree and dodged until the peach blossoms stopped flying. Then they saw the red figure coming out from behind the peach tree. Chapter 28:34. Feng Jiu felt goosebumps rise on his arms when he heard the words "little niece." It was such a loss to be called "little niece" by a kid so much younger than him. Sister Feng. Zhao Yang was also very happy to see her. He jogged to her side and greeted her. Feng Jiu reached out and patted his head. Yang, you've trained well. Continue to work hard." Yes. Zhao Yang smiled happily and nodded in response. "Xiao Jiu, when did you arrive? Are you alone? Didn't Mose and the others come?" Guan Shilin asked. "No, I didn't come with them," Feng Jiu said. His heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He asked, "But what happened after we left? Did you go up the immortal ascension stairs?" "Yes, I'll tell you more about it later. Right now, it's hard to explain in a few words." She smiled. "I just arrived here. When I heard your voices, I knew you were here. Yes. I wanted to bring them here to take a look and send them back in a few days," Guan Shilin said, then added, "Grandpa and the others were very happy to see Feng Yi and Zhao Yang come back." Feng Jiu nodded when he heard this. "It's good that you've met them. Xiao Jiu, let's go home together. If my parents know that you're back, they'll be very happy. Oh, and my brother and sister-in-law too." He winked and said with a smile. "Little brat." Feng Jiu knocked his head lightly. "I'm your little uncle." Feng Yi protested. "Yes, little uncle. Let's go. Let's go home." She reached out and pinched his pink cheek. She held his hand and looked at Guan Shilin. "Brother, where's Yi Jing?" "She went home," Guan Shilin said. Feng Jiu nodded. "It's good to go back. At least it's safer. But when do you plan to marry her?" "This." He smiled, seemingly a little embarrassed. "I was thinking of asking my adoptive parents to arrange it for me, but I don't seem to have the time recently." "Then let's find a time to do it. Don't let Yi Jing wait too long," she said with a smile. "Yes, I know." He nodded. This was also the reason why he came back this time. They left Peach Blossom Cove and sat in a carriage that had stopped at the foot of the mountain. The group then headed towards the Feng Manor. When the carriage stopped in front of the mansion's gate, Feng Jiu alighted from the carriage. The gatekeeper couldn't help but stare blankly and immediately dashed inside to report. "Eldest Miss is back. Young Miss is back." When the people in the residence heard this, they couldn't help but be surprised. After hearing the news, they quickly reported it to the various courtyards. "Who? Little Feng? You're saying that little Feng is back?" When Feng Sanyuan heard this news, he couldn't help but be delighted. "Quickly, let's go take a look." Su Shi also stood up and walked forward with him. In another courtyard, after Feng Xiao heard the news, he was a little incredulous. "Xiao Jiu is back?" Shangguan Wanru, who was embroidering to pass the time, couldn't help but stab herself with the needle in her hand. She stood up in surprise. "Xiao Jiu? Xiao Jiu is really back?" "Madam, let's quickly go take a look. This girl hasn't been back for a long time. I don't know how she is now." As Feng Xiao spoke, he led her outside. Seeing that she was walking faster than him, Feng Xiao couldn't help but smile. "Madam, don't worry. You'll see her." Chapter 28:35. Xiao Jiu. Little Feng. Voices of pleasant surprise rang out in unison from the mouths of several people. Feng Jiu only saw a figure flash in front of her. Her mother came to her side and hugged her. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back. Shangguan Wanru cried tears of joy. Seeing that her daughter was back, her heart that had been worried about her finally relaxed. Mother, Fengjiu called out, taking a step back and coming out of her arms. I came back to see you. Good, good, good. Feng Xiao nodded and patted her shoulder. Father, Fengjiu called out sweetly, then looked at the two people at the side. Grandfather, grandmother. She called out. Looking at their faces, she smiled. Grandfather, you're almost younger than my father. Your complexion is also good. That's also because of the pills you left behind, Feng Sanyuan said with a smile. Alright, don't just stand here. Let's go inside and sit. He gestured for everyone to enter the hall. Fengjiu followed them in. After sitting down, Feng Sanyuan asked, Why are you the only one back? Where are the others? Actually, it's like this. I came from overseas using the Aurora transmission scroll. Mose and the others should be on their way. Overseas? Why did you go overseas? After I came back from Peng Lai Immortal Island, I was watched again. Those people used a spatial array to bring me overseas. Later, I escaped and came back first. She spoke in a few words, but their hearts were slightly raised. The danger was something they could not estimate. Xiaojiu, why don't you come back home? Don't go out again. You're outside alone. We're all worried about you, Feng Xiao said with a frown. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled slightly. Actually, I came back this time because I have something to tell you. She looked at them and said, Mose and I have already discussed it. We plan to go to the Celestial Ascension Stairs and cultivate behind the Profound Light Gate. We don't know how long it will take for us to return, so we decided to come back and take a look first. We're here to inform you. Hearing this, everyone was slightly surprised and asked worriedly, Is that place dangerous? Half and half. Fengjiu said. Then how many people do you plan to bring? Why do you have to take the risk in such a dangerous place? Feng Xiao looked at her and was worried. I only plan to bring 8 people over. That's right, I picked up a child some time ago. I plan to raise the child over there. Actually, Mose and I are already considered strong over here, but there are many people over there who are stronger than us. We all want to increase our own strength. Also, I can't be with you. She smiled slightly. If I were to be with you, the danger you'll face will increase by dozens. I have many enemies, but their target is only me. Now that you're living here, it can be considered peaceful. I don't want to break the peace here. But you. Feng Sanyuan looked at her hesitantly. Chapter 2836. Seeing this, Guanxili nodded. I know, I still need to improve my strength. Alright, Dad, Mom, find a time to help brother get married. She looked at her parents, sitting at the side, and said, Okay, we'll arrange this. They nodded and asked with a smile, What about your marriage with Mose? When do you plan to get married? Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled and said, We're not in a hurry, we'll take it slow. They chatted in the hall for a while, then let Fengjiu go back to rest first. Returning to the courtyard, she looked at the place that hadn't changed and smiled. It feels like I haven't been back for a long time, but this place is still the same. The decorations haven't been touched. It's still the same style as before. There's someone cleaning the courtyard every day. You can move in at any time. Feng Xiao walked with his hands behind his back and said, It's rare for you to come back, you should stay for a few more days this time. Okay. Fengjiu replied and went into the room to look around before coming out again. Dad, are you all doing well here? Don't worry. Don't worry about us, we're fine here. He smiled. We don't have a country here now, so we're free in all aspects. Other countries don't dare to be presumptuous towards us here, so we've always lived in peace. Moreover, although there's no country here, the people around here, so no one from other places dares to have any ideas about us here. That's good. She nodded in relief. Don't you plan to let everyone know that you're back this time? He asked. Yes, don't spread the news of my return, so that those people don't come looking for trouble. Fengjiu said. I understand, I'll make the arrangements. As he spoke, he gestured for her to sit down and smiled. Your mother went to the kitchen to make some food for you. You can sit for a while and rest after you eat. Okay. She replied with a smile as she said, I'll let Lao Bai and the others out. It's been a long time since you've seen them. With a flick of her sleeve, Lao Bai and the others were released, and they walked around the courtyard happily. Another white tiger cub? Feng Xiao looked at the white tiger cub that was rubbing against her daughter's feet and was a little surprised. Yes, I picked it up. She smiled. There's still a silver wolf that I haven't contracted yet. He should have followed Mo's here. That's good. You have these contracted beasts by your side, so you don't have to worry about having fewer people in battle. He laughed heartily and reached out to pat little white tiger's head. Seeing that it was its master's father, the little white tiger obediently lowered its head and closed its eyes comfortably, allowing him to stroke it. Not long after, Shangguan Wanru came in with something. Xiaojiu, I made some food for you. Try it. She walked forward with a smile, put down the tray, and took out the bowl on the tray and placed it in front of Fengjiu. Fengjiu opened the lid and saw that it was a bowl of hot noodles with many ingredients. Smelling the fragrance, she couldn't help but smile happily. Thank you, Nyangqin. Eat it while it's hot. Shangguan Wanru sat down beside her and handed her a pair of chopsticks, looking gently at the satisfied expression on her face. This child, it's just a bowl of noodles, but she's so happy. Thinking that no one would make such a simple thing for her outside, she couldn't help but feel sour. Chapter 28:37. Mother, you're so good at cooking, Fengjiu said as he ate the noodles. He didn't know if it was because he was hungry or something else, but the noodles tasted delicious. Shangguan Wanru's eyes reddened when she heard this. Silly child, you like it. I'll cook for you every day. Okay, she replied with a smile and continued eating. She only put down her chopsticks when she finished the big bowl of noodles. Phew! I'm so full, she said as she touched her stomach. Seeing this, Feng Xiao and Shangguan Wanru couldn't help but shake their heads and smile. At this moment, a few contracted beasts also gathered around. Master, we're hungry too, Lao Bai said as he wagged his tail. How about this? Xiaojiu, you rest well. I'll bring them to the front, Feng Xiao said as he stood up with a smile. Shangguan Wanru also stood up and put the bowl back on the tray. Rest well. You can relax at home and don't have to worry about danger. Okay, I know. She nodded and stood up to send them out before returning to the courtyard. Walking in the courtyard, she touched her stomach. She didn't go back to her room to rest but went to the back of the mountain instead. She heard them say that the fire phoenix was cultivating in the cave at the back of the mountain and didn't know that she was back yet. Now that she was full, she wanted to take a look at it. When she came to the cave at the back of the mountain and walked past the array, she smiled when she saw the array with the boundary. It seemed that even if she wasn't by its side, it was still cultivating consciously. The fire phoenix, who was cultivating in the cave, felt a familiar aura. It was stunned and opened its eyes. It immediately restrained its aura and flapped its wings to fly out of the cave. When it saw the dazzling red figure about to turn and leave, it couldn't help but call out excitedly. Master! Then, it flew towards Fengjiu. Fengjiu heard the sound and turned around to see the fire phoenix flapping its wings and flying towards her. She smiled and reached out to hug it. I saw that you were cultivating, so I didn't want to disturb you. Master, master! You've finally come! The fire phoenix said excitedly. Suddenly, it heard a clucking sound. It turned around and saw a green-furred bird running towards it on the grass, flapping its wings and clucking. Master! 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 Fengjiu was slightly surprised. Looking at Green Hair who was running towards them, he couldn't help but be startled. Ah! It's a green-feathered chicken. She had almost forgotten that there was such a green-feathered chicken. When the fire phoenix heard Green Hair's voice, it immediately came out of Fengjiu's arms. With a flap of its wings, a gust of wind blew Green Hair away. Ah, master! Seeing this, Fengjiu couldn't help but smile. All right, stop fooling around. Since we're all out, I'll bring you to the front. Lao Bai and the others are all in the residence. She waved her hand and led the fire phoenix and Green Hair into the residence to meet with Lao Bai and the others. However, Green Hair kept clinging to her side and didn't go far. Instead, wherever she went, it clucked behind her and called for its master. Fengjiu let the other contracted beasts gather while she returned to the courtyard to take a bath and lay down to rest. She didn't wake up until the next day. At the same time, she didn't know that Mose had already entered the territory of the Phoenix dynasty with the child and Ling Shuang and the others. They were on a flying ship and were heading towards the city. Chapter 28:38. Had she already escaped danger and returned home? Thinking of this, he looked ahead worriedly. His heart was nervous, worried that he wouldn't see her there. Ling Shuang, Ling Hua, and the others sat on the side, looking at Mose, who was carrying the child, looking ahead. The siblings looked at each other, then Ling Hua stepped forward and said, "Yama Lord, we should arrive in an hour. Should we enter the city directly? Or should we park the spaceship outside the city?" "Let's enter the city directly," he said in a deep voice. "Okay." Ling Hua responded and returned to where they were. Bai Qingqing looked in front of her and was slightly startled. Was this the place where her master grew up? She never thought that she would one day come to the place where master grew up. She never thought that master would pick her out of so many outstanding and loyal subordinates and bring her to another world. When she heard the news, she was shocked and touched. At the same time, she secretly made up her mind that in this life, no matter how great her achievements were in the future, master would always be her master. Ah! The little guy in Moses' arms waved his little hands and his delicate pink little face broke into a giggle. The child's innocent face and laughter made Xianyuan Moses' tense heart gradually relax. He teased the child in his arms and said, "I'll take you to see your mother. Your mother is waiting for us at home." Hee. The little thing waved his hands and laughed excitedly, saliva flowing out of his mouth. Seeing this, Moses' lips curled up and he said to Ling Shuang, "Carry Howard down and feed him." "Yes." Ling Shuang stepped forward and took the child. He stood up and walked to the front of the spaceship with his hands behind his back. He watched the white clouds pass by and a bustling scene appeared before his eyes. At this moment, Fengjiu was washing up and getting up. After breakfast, she went to the alchemy room to refine pills. The contract beasts were all wandering around the residence. Even the fire phoenix was flying around happily, because its master had returned. Once its master returned, it didn't want to return to the cave to cultivate. The mansion was filled with joy because everyone had gathered. Old Master Feng and the others were discussing the betrothal gifts for Guan Shilin's marriage proposal. Suddenly, a loud noise that hadn't been heard in a long time resounded in the mansion. Bang! When they heard this voice, everyone in the mansion was stunned. What's going on? Could it be that someone had attacked their residence? When they thought of this, they quickly rushed towards the source of the sound. When they arrived at the alchemy courtyard, their worried hearts finally relaxed. So it's Xiao Jiu who's refining pills. This girl can scare people to death just by refining pills. Ha ha ha, I haven't heard the sound of a furnace exploding for a long time. I'm really not used to it. Feng Xiao laughed heartily. He looked at the figure who was coughing as he walked out of the alchemy room. Then, he said to the people behind him, "Disperse, disperse. Don't disturb her refining." Feng Xiao said as he walked back. Thus, after a while, the people who had followed the sound dispersed. Cough, cough. Fengjiu covered her mouth and nose as she coughed lightly. She used her sleeves to disperse the smoke in the air. She looked at the destroyed furnace and thought for a moment. Then, she took out the furnace that she usually refined from her space. Chapter 28:39. Just as she was engrossed in refining pills, the appearance of the flying boat caused a commotion in the city, especially when the flying boat landed in front of the Feng Manor's gates. People could not help but wonder, who has come this time? Could it be the Feng Manor's eldest young miss? A few people gathered around out of curiosity. However, when they saw the people that had come out of the flying boat, they could not help but be startled. Of those people, they recognized some and did not recognize some, but they were certain that the Feng Manor's eldest young miss was not among them. That was to say, the Feng Manor's eldest young miss had not returned? Hearing the commotion outside, the Manor's people also came out to take a look, especially Feng Zhao's group. Hearing that a flying boat had arrived, they thought that Xianyuan Mo's group had come. They immediately went outside to take a look, and sure enough, they saw them. Ha ha ha, Mose! You've come! Quickly come in, come in! Feng Zhao laughed loudly and invited him in. Xianyuan Mo slightly nodded and called out, then followed him inside. When they arrived in the hall and sat down, he asked, "Uncle Xiao, has Xiao Jiu returned?" "Ha ha ha, she's back, she's back. She arrived before you. You don't need to worry. She's doing very well." Feng Zhao laughed heartily. Seeing him heave a sigh of relief, she said, "Little Jiu came back and asked if you had arrived. I asked her why you didn't come together. She said that there was an accident, but you don't have to worry. She came back without any injuries. This girl, as soon as she came back, she went straight to the pill room to refine pills. Just now, she even blew up a pill furnace." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo's finally revealed a smile. His anxious heart finally relaxed. It's good that she's back. Hui Lang, who was standing behind him, also cracked a smile and revealed a happy smile. "I just knew that the ghost doctor would definitely return. Master, it's good that we rushed over." "That's right, I heard that you picked up a child? Did you bring him over? We must see this little grandson of mine," he said with a laugh, and inquired about the child. "Yes, Leng Shuang is leading them. They might still be behind us." Xianyuan Mo's gestured for Hui Lang to go out and take a look. Not long after, Hui Lang came back and reported, "Master, Master, little Master has been carried away by old Master. Madam and the others are all playing with little Master." Hearing this, Feng Zhao smiled and waved his hand. "It doesn't matter. It's the same if we go there." As he spoke, he turned to Xianyuan Mo's and said, "Xiao Jiu is currently refining pills and hasn't come out yet. I reckon you won't be able to see him even if you want to. I'll take you to see father and the others first. When Xiao Jiu finishes refining the pills, we'll have a good family gathering." "Okay." Xianyuan Mo stood up and followed him out. As they walked, Feng Zhao said, "We're discussing Shi Lin's marriage. We're preparing to pick a time to go to the Yi family to send the betrothal gift. The youngsters said that they should get this marriage done as soon as possible and marry Yi Jing." Feng Zhao looked at Xianyuan Mo's as he walked and smiled. "I asked Xiao Jiu. She said that you guys aren't in a hurry. What do you think? Are you really not in a hurry?" Chapter 28:40. Hearing this, Feng Zhao was slightly taken aback. She looked at him deeply and nodded. "I understand. We'll do as you youngsters say." The two of them went to the backyard. After greeting everyone, Xianyuan Mo's went to wait outside the alchemy room. Although he knew that she had returned safely, he still wanted to see her with his own eyes. At this moment, Luo Yu and the others had already brought by Qingqing, Du Fan, and the others to tour the manor. When they walked over, they happened to see Xianyuan Mo's waiting there, so they all bowed. "Ya my lord." Xianyuan Mo's glanced at them and replied calmly, The few of them tactfully retreated, not wanting to disturb him. After walking for a while, Luo Yu said, "It's rare for you to come here. Let me take you out for a walk. We haven't seen Master since we came here. Is it okay to leave the residence like this?" Bai Qingqing asked hesitantly. "It's okay. Master isn't the kind of person to be harsh on his subordinate. Besides, Yama Lord is waiting for Master. Even if Master comes out, we probably won't be able to see him for a while. Why don't we go out for a walk first? Luo Yu laughed loudly and said, Ever since I left with Master, I haven't been back for a long time. That's good. You're familiar with this place. You can take us for a walk, Du Fan said with a smile. He looked at the people around him and said, Ling Hua and Ling Shuang aren't here. Should we call them? Ling Shuang has to take care of little Master. He probably won't go. Ling Hua, on the other hand, can ask him if he wants to go. Alright, Hui Lang too. Thus, the few of them walked and chatted. When they reached the front yard, they found Ling Hua and Hui Lang, who was preparing to go to the backyard. Du Fan said, Luo Yu said that he'll take us for a walk around the city. Do you want to go? Ling Hua smiled gently. I won't be going. I'm familiar with this city. You guys go ahead. I'll go. Although I've been here before, it's good to go out for a walk. Hui Lang grinned. Okay, then we'll go first, Luo Yu and the others said, nodding to Ling Hua and walking out. Seeing this, Ling Hua smiled and walked towards the backyard. They had suddenly returned. Although the residents had made preparations, he still wanted to take a look and help everyone make arrangements. Regardless of whether it was Luo Yu, by Qin Cheng, or Luo Yu, they were all extremely beautiful. Their temperament was even more extraordinary. When they walked on the street, many people turned to look at them. Some people felt that the more they looked at it, the more familiar it was to them. They began to discuss it in low voices. They seemed to be people from the Feng Manor. Those seemed to be the captains of the Feng Manor's Feng Guards. I've seen them before. They follow the eldest young Miss Feng. A spaceship came today. Could it be that eldest Miss Feng is back too? I don't know. No one saw her. I heard that eldest Miss Feng is very powerful now. She's always been very powerful, everyone discussed. Because the imperial system of the Phoenix dynasty was already gone, to the people here they were still the Phoenix dynasty. Even if the Feng family was no longer the emperor, in the hearts of the people, the Feng family's position was still the same as the emperor. The only difference was that the title had changed. Speaking of which, it wasn't that it had changed. It was just that it seemed to have returned to the beginning. Feng Xiao was the Feng family's head, Feng Sanyuan was still the Feng family's ancestor, and eldest Miss Feng was still the Feng family's eldest young miss. Chapter 2841. Luo Yu and the others were strolling around outside. Feng Sanyuan and the others were playing with the newly arrived little Hao heir in the manor. Xianyuan Mose was waiting for Fengjiu outside the alchemy courtyard in the backyard. Smelling the medicinal fragrance coming from the courtyard, Xianyuan Mose's lips curled up. Even if he couldn't see her, he knew that she was refining pills inside. This kind of feeling made him feel very at ease. It wasn't until the sky gradually darkened that the alchemy room quieted down. Fengjiu walked out in dirty casual clothes, but his face was filled with a happy smile. When she walked out of the courtyard and saw the figure sitting under the tree, she was slightly stunned. Mose? It's me. Xianyuan Mose replied. He stood up and walked towards her. How are you? Are you all right? It really is you. Fengjiu smiled happily and said, I'm very good. I already said that you don't need to worry about me. Right, when did you guys arrive? We arrived around noon. I heard from Uncle Xiao that you were refining pills, so I waited here for you. He reached out to wipe away the pill dust on her face and said, Seeing that you're fine, I'm relieved. Really, why did you wait here for me for so long? Why didn't you go rest in the courtyard first? She held his hand and asked, Are you tired? I'm not tired. His lips curled up, revealing a smile. Let's go back to the courtyard. I've been refining pills in the alchemy room all day, and I'm covered in the medicinal smell. Let's go back and take a bath first before we talk. All right. He replied and led her into the courtyard. Right, where's little Hao Er? Is he with Ling Shuang? Has he been obedient on the way here? Feng Jiu asked as they walked. Xianyuan Mose nodded. He's been very obedient on the way here. Ever since we got here, he's been carried by your father and the others to play with. He's still in their hands now. It's been a long time since we've had such a small child at home, and they all like children. Now that they see Hao Er's so cute, it's normal that they can't bear to part with him. Feng Jiu smiled and said, My brother is preparing to get married. Today, I want to help him refine some pills and medicinal liquids so that he can go to the Yi clan as betrothal gift. I heard Uncle Xiao mention it. Although it's for your brother's marriage, you still have to take it easy. Don't refine pills for an entire day. Your body won't be able to take it. He reminded her worriedly. Yes, I know. She replied with a smile. Returning to the courtyard, Feng Jiu asked the maidservant to prepare hot water and soaked in the bathtub with the screen between them. In the inner room outside the screen, Xianyuan Mose was resting on the bed with his eyes closed. As he listened to the sound of the shower, he asked, How are you doing over there? Have you seen the Black Lotus Lord? How did you escape? When he said this, he opened his eyes and turned his head slightly to look at the screen. He saw a faintly discernible figure with black hair hanging loosely over her shoulders. She was holding a handful of water in her hands and washing her body. That kind of hazy beauty made him unable to move his eyes away. Me? I didn't fall into his hands. If I did, it would probably take a lot of effort to escape from that kind of situation. Chapter 2842. You don't know. At that time, there was a group of black-clothed cultivators standing below. Those people were not weak but hee-hee. She chuckled and said, In the end they were all killed by me. This Black Lotus Master didn't fight with me, but after losing those people, he has become a clawless tiger. If he wants to deal with me again, he will probably have to rearrange his forces. So, I escaped from that place before the Black Lotus Master returned. I wandered along the way for a few days and kicked down a city lord. Then, I thought that you should be arriving soon, so I used the Aurora teleportation scroll to return here. She spoke in the tub, and on the other side, Xianyuan Mose listened on the bed. When he heard about what happened behind her, his heart gradually calmed down. He closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep in no time. When Feng Jiu came to the bedside after taking a bath and drying her hair, she saw that he was already asleep. Seeing this, she could not help but smile. She gently lay down on the bed and covered both of them with the blanket. Then, she leaned into his arms and closed her eyes to rest. She had been busy the whole day and used up a lot of spiritual power. Now, after taking a bath, she lay down on the bed and fell asleep not long after. When Feng Jiu woke up at around 7 in the morning, she saw that Xianyuan Mose, who was sleeping next to her, was lying on his side and facing her. He was holding his head with one hand and looking at her. You're awake? Xianyuan Mose's deep and magnetic voice rang out from his mouth. When he saw the dazed look on her face after she woke up, the corners of his lips couldn't help but curl into a smile. Even his deep black eyes were dyed with a doting smile. Yes, Feng Jiu responded. She rubbed her eyes and looked at him again. She asked, Why didn't you get up early in the morning? Why were you staring at me? Because you were drooling. I was wondering if I should wake you up? He said with a smile. Feng Jiu was stunned. She reached out to wipe her mouth. As expected, she touched a trace of water. She could not help but feel embarrassed. I'll go wash up. She jumped up and quickly got off the bed. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose laughed softly and shook his head. Just now, when she was sleeping soundly, her mouth was moving, mumbling something delicious, and she was even drooling. Seeing this, he was also stunned. If he was not so close to her, he would not have seen her in such a disgraceful state after she fell asleep. At this moment, he got up and got dressed. Let's go out of the residence today. We haven't been in the city for a long time. What do you want to eat? I'll take you to eat. But I still have to prepare a betrothal gift for my brother. After washing up, Feng Jiu walked out and looked at Xianyuan Mose, who was wearing a belt. After fastening the belt, Xianyuan Mose said, "It's fine. His betrothal gift is not urgent. We can go out and look. If we see something good, we can buy it for him." Hearing this, Feng Jiu's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. However, if we want to talk about treasures, then we'll have to go to the black market. Yes, then let's go to the black market. Or look in other countries. It's not very far from here. With our speed, we can go back and forth in a day. Xianyuan Mose said and went to wash up. Chapter 28:43. Seeing this, Xianyuan Mose nodded. Then let's go to the black market. By the way, I haven't seen Hao yet. Should I ask Ling Shuang to bring him over first? That's fine too. Ask Ling Shuang to bring him over. I'll change my clothes before I go out. I don't want to be surrounded and stared at like a monkey. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose looked down at himself. Do I need to change? Feng Jiu pursed his lips and smiled. You don't need to. Just wear a mask. That's fine too. Xianyuan Mose walked out and waited for Feng Jiu in the courtyard. At the same time, he called out, "Ying Yi, ask Ling Shuang to bring Hao over." Yes. Ying Yi answered in the dark. His figure flashed and he quickly left. Not long after, Ling Shuang came over with Hao in his arms. There were a few other people beside him. After they entered the courtyard, they bowed to Xianyuan Mose. "Yama Lord." Xianyuan Mose nodded slightly and glanced at them. When Feng Jiu came out, he had changed into a green robe and his face had changed into a handsome appearance. Compared to the dazzling red robe from before, he was much more low-key. "Master." They all bowed. "You guys, if you have nothing to do, bring Du Fan and the others to familiarize themselves with the mansion. There's nothing to do here recently, so you can relax." As Feng Jiu spoke, he walked into the courtyard and said, "Zai and I are going out. Du Fan and Qin Qing, come with us." "Yes." The two answered respectfully. Hui Lang came in from outside and was about to speak when Ying Yi pulled him aside. "Why are you pulling me?" Hui Lang asked discontentedly as he slapped his hand away. "Master is going out, and I'm going to go with him. Master and the ghost doctor will be accompanied by Du Fan and by Qin Qing. You don't have to be in the open anymore. Just stay in the dark like me," Ying Yi said and glanced inside. "In the dark?" Hui Lang thought for a moment and glanced inside. Finally, he agreed. "Let's stay in the dark then." In the courtyard, Feng Jiu was playing with the child. "Little Hao come, mother will give you a kiss." She took the child and kissed him. Xianyuan Mose's eyes moved slightly when he saw this. He felt that Xiao Zhi liked children very much. Ling Shuang, Hao can be handed over to the manor's Auntie Li. She can be considered an old member of our Feng manor. It won't be too tiring to have her take care of you. Feng Jiu said, "You just need to stay by Hao's side. Normally, nothing will happen." "Yes, master." Ling Shuang complied and took the child from her. "Then we'll be going out first. You can stay in the manor," Feng Jiu said and patted Luo Yu's shoulder with a smile. She then left the courtyard with Xianyuan Mose. Behind them, Du Fan and Bai Qingqing followed. After getting into the carriage, Feng Jiu had the driver remove the Feng Manor's insignia from the carriage. Only then did they go to the main street and arrive at the black market. One of them had changed his appearance, while the other was wearing a mask. When they got out of the carriage, the people guarding the black market could not help but stare blankly. Although they couldn't see the face of the masked man, his aura was extremely outstanding and noble, making them have the urge to lower their heads. Chapter 28:44. Even though they often had visitors from other parts of the city, the aura of these people was different from the rest. Even the children of the aristocratic families were not as good as them. Seeing them enter the black market, the curious onlookers retracted their gazes. Those who could enter the black market were mostly people of status. After all, the items in the black market were not something ordinary people could afford. Once they entered, a middle-aged man walked out. He quickly walked up to them and bowed to them. He asked, "I am the manager here. My surname is Kong. May I know what you would like?" At the same time, he secretly sized them up, feeling a little strange. "Do you have anything good here recently?" Feng Zhou asked. Hearing this, Manager Kong asked, "May I know what kind of item you would like?" "It doesn't matter what kind it is. As long as it can be considered a treasure, we can take a look." "I see." He looked at Feng Zhou hesitantly and asked, "Young master, you look very unfamiliar. May I know?" Before he could finish, he saw a black token being handed to him. He was stunned and quickly took a look. When he saw it, his hand trembled and the black token almost fell to the ground. He suppressed the shock in his heart and his attitude instantly became extremely respectful. Please go upstairs. I will invite the president," he said in a trembling voice and led them to the VIP room upstairs. He instructed the servants to serve them well and then quickly rushed to the backyard of the black market to find the president. President! Big brother! Manager Kong ran in like a gust of wind, shouting at the same time. The president here was of the same bloodline as him, and was also his elder brother with the same surname. It was also because of him that he was able to be transferred here to be a steward. In the backyard, the president was talking to two old men. When he heard the shouts outside, he could not help but frown and look up. He saw Manager Kong running in quickly. "What's going on? Why are you so flustered?" he said in a low voice. At the same time, he picked up the teacup in front of him and took a sip of tea. "President, that black token, that level 1 black token has appeared." "What?" The president's hand holding the teacup trembled and the tea spilled out. He looked at the manager in shock and asked, "Are you talking about the black token in the ghost doctor's hand?" Yes. The manager quickly nodded. The two old men to the side were also shocked. They asked, "What's going on? Hurry up and make it clear." Just now there were 4 people outside. One of them was wearing a black robe and a silver mask. His aura was very intimidating. One of them was wearing a white dress. Her face was very beautiful. One of them was holding a folding fan and looked like a scholar. The last one was wearing a green robe and took out a black token. They said that they were here to see a treasure, any treasure would do. When I saw that black token, I hurriedly came to report. "President, could this be the ghost doctor?" Hearing his words, everyone began to ponder. Chairman Kong stood up and calmly said, "Logically speaking, since the ghost doctor has gone to the upper continents, she shouldn't come back often. However, a while ago, her adopted older brother brought the Feng family ancestor's youngest son back. Yesterday, a flying ship stopped in front of the Feng Manor's gate. If the ghost doctor came back, that would be normal." Chapter 2845. President, you should quickly go and take a look. If it's really that person, then you have to take good care of her. The two elders said in unison. "I understand. I'll go take a look." As the president spoke, he gestured for the steward to bring him to where the others were. At this moment, Feng Zhou and Xianyuan Mose were drinking tea, eating snacks and chatting in the room, while Bai Qingqing and Du Fan were guarding the door. "Let's go shopping on the streets after we're done. I haven't eaten the city's snacks in a long time," Feng Zhou said after eating a piece of cake. "Sure," Xianyuan Mose replied. Seeing that she was drinking tea, he said, "Don't drink tea on an empty stomach. If you're hungry, eat a few snacks to fill your stomach." "It's fine." She waved her hand carelessly. Not long after, a sound came from outside the door. Du Fan opened the door to let him in. The president came in with the manager. When he came in, he first looked at the man and woman guarding the door. Then, he walked in and looked at the two people sitting inside. He sized them up and then bowed respectfully. Greetings to the two of you. I'm the president here, surnamed Kong. May I know if you're the ghost doctor? He asked carefully. Hearing this, Fengjiu's lips curled. That's right, it's me. You were transferred here later? After hearing the answer, President Kong felt a surge of excitement. He had long heard that the ghost doctor liked to dress up as a man. So the person in front of him was really her. He quickly gathered his thoughts and said respectfully, Yes, the ghost doctor. After the previous president left, I was transferred here. Therefore, I haven't had the chance to meet the ghost doctor. I didn't expect to see you here today. I'm really lucky. Fengjiu smiled and said, I'm here today because my sworn brother is going to send betrothal gifts. I wanted to see if you have anything good here. Hearing this, President Kong quickly said, I see. Since that's the case, please follow me to the storeroom to choose. There are many treasures in the storeroom. All right. Fengjiu and Xianyuan Mose stood up. They brought Du Fan and Bai Qingqing with them and followed the president to the warehouse. It was an underground storeroom, and the shelves were filled with rare treasures. She said to Du Fan and Bai Qingqing, You two should take a look as well. See if there's anything suitable and write it down. Yes. The two of them answered and helped to search. The few of them browsed through the storeroom for a while and asked the steward to note down the items that caught their eye. In the end, Fengjiu asked, Most of the items in the black market are auctioned off. If we buy these items in advance, will it affect us? Ghost Doctor, you don't have to worry. These are all from our black market. The president said. That's good. She nodded and said to Du Fan, You and Qingqing settle the bill, then send the things back to the residence and hand them over to my mother for her to arrange. Yes. The two of them replied and left with the steward. President Kong, we won't stay any longer. Fengjiu cupped his hands and said. Seeing this, President Kong said, Then I'll send the ghost doctor and young master out. As he said this, he personally sent them out of the black market. He stood at the entrance and watched them leave before he turned around and went back. After the two of them left the black market, they came to a roadside food stall. Fengjiu held Xianyuan Mose's hand and sat down. He then called for the old man at the stall to serve some snacks and sweet soup. Chapter 2846. Only you would like to eat from these stalls. I don't think a normal daughter of an aristocratic family would come here. Xianyuan Mose said as he took off the mask on his face and put it into his space. Then he drank a mouthful of sweet soup. For him, he didn't like sweet things, but Fengjiu seemed to like it very much. So you're saying that I'm an abnormal person? Fengjiu chuckled and said, I know you don't like to eat sweet things. How about this? I'll take you to find some good wine to drink later. Hearing this, the corners of his lips hooked up. Okay. Do you want to go to Piao Xiang Yuan again? Fengjiu blinked and asked. Hearing this, Xianyuan Mose raised his eyebrows. You want to take me there? Piao Xiang Yuan? What kind of place was that? That was a place where brothels frequented. In your dreams, she said with a smile. You have no fate with those places. Yes, I have you, and that's enough. He followed her words and looked at her smiling eyes. He couldn't help but reveal a smile and push the snacks in front of her. Eat this. Okay. Fengjiu replied and asked the old man to bring another bowl of sweet soup. Seeing that his bowl was still there, he said, Give me your bowl too. I'll take you to eat later. Okay. He moved the sweet soup in front of her and watched her eat with the spoon he used. He couldn't help but smile deeply. After Fengjiu finished eating, they went to the jewelry store and bought some things. Then they went to the wine shop to buy some wine and went to the restaurant to sit down. We've been walking around for half a day. Fengjiu held his face with one hand and said, Fortunately, I don't have to help with my brother's wedding. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Uncle Xiao and the others can arrange it. They will be very thorough. Xianyuan Mose poured himself a glass of wine and said, "It will be much easier to have someone familiar with the procedures to handle these matters." That's true. So when I got home, I told them to do it. I was responsible for preparing some betrothal gifts for my brother. However, it should be enough. There's no need to prepare too many pills and medicinal liquids. This wine is not bad. Do you want to try it? Xianyuan Mose poured a glass for her. Upon hearing this, Fengjiu's attention was instantly diverted. She raised her wine glass and said, "Let me try it." As the wine entered his throat, the fragrance of bamboo leaves spread out in his throat. With just a light sip, he knew that this wine was extraordinary. She raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Is this the clear bamboo wine that the shopkeeper recommended us to buy?" "Yeah, you didn't taste it just now, but I tasted it. I think it's not bad, so I bought the whole bucket from him," Xianyuan Mose said. "This is not bad," Fengjiu said, and then said, "I wonder what kind of wine my father will use for the wedding." Seeing that she was worried about the wine that Guan Shilin's guests would drink, Xianyuan Mo shook his head and said with a smile, "That's simple. I'll get someone to prepare some good wine for them." "Okay, then it's settled. I won't get involved in the wedding," she said with a smile and poured another glass of wine. She also filled half a glass for him and said, "Come, let's have a good meal." Chapter 2847. I've already digested what I ate before, and now I'm hungry again, Fengjiu said as he picked up some food to eat, saying, "You said you'd take me to eat everywhere today, this bit isn't enough." Hearing this, Xianyuan Mo smiled. "Alright, you eat. We'll walk around later, and we'll go eat at whichever restaurant we like." In the shadows, Hui Lang and an Yi watched this scene. The latter was expressionless, as if he was already used to it, but the former asked in a low voice with some suspicion, "Yi, the ghost doctor can eat so much, but how can she still maintain her figure so well? How can she not gain weight?" Hearing this, An Yi's mouth twitched. "How would I know? No wonder the ghost doctor wanted to take care of him. Look at this brain, who knew what she was thinking all day. None of the women I know can eat as much as the ghost doctor." Hui Lang muttered. They had been following her in the shadows the whole way, and had been watching the whole way. First, it was the tea from the black market, then the sweet soup and snacks from the roadside stalls. Almost all of that had gone into the ghost doctor's stomach. Later on, she had bought some snacks along the way, and now she was sitting in a restaurant and eating them. Why was it that they had been following her the whole way, and only saw her eating? As he spoke, Yi consciously retreated a bit. After a quarter of an hour, he heard Fengjiu's voice enter his ears. "Hui Lang." Hui Lang instinctively responded, poking his head in from outside. "Ghost doctor, you're calling me?" "And calling you, come. Fengjiu said with a smile, waving at him. Seeing this, Hui Lang was happy, and quickly walked in, grinning. "Ghost doctor, do you have any orders?" "I don't have any orders, but I saw that you haven't eaten anything since you came with us this morning, so I ordered something good for you." She supported her face with one hand and gestured with a smile. Come, sit." "How can that be? How can I sit with Master and the ghost doctor?" No. Hui Lang waved his hand and said, "How about this? Ghost doctor, what did you order for me?" "I carried it to the side to eat. Besides, Yi hadn't eaten yet. I asked him to join us." He grinned and thought to himself, "I'm a good brother, right?" Look, the ghost doctor gave him something to eat, but he was still thinking about Yi. "Yi, don't worry about him. He's just a block of wood. Besides, if he wants to eat, I'll get someone to prepare some for him. You can only eat this." Fengjiu looked at him with a smile and said, "This is one of the signature dishes that the waiter just recommended to us. I heard that it's very popular. We just tasted it and thought that it tastes good, so we specially ordered a portion for you." "I see. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Ghost Doctor." He hurriedly thanked them and looked at the seafood prawns floating in red oil in front of them. He couldn't help but wonder, could it be this? Not long after, the waiter brought another set up and placed it on another table before leaving. "Ghost Doctor, it shouldn't be this one, right?" Grey Wolf asked as he pointed at the big basin of things on the table. His face was filled with astonishment. "It's this one. Don't look at the large basin of things, it's mostly soup. Don't drink the soup, just eat the meat," Feng Jiu said with a smile. Chapter 2848. No buts. "Try it, it's delicious," Feng Jiu said with a smile, gesturing for him to try it. Seeing this, Hui Lang picked up a prawn with his chopstick. It was slightly spicy and tasted delicious. The prawn meat was plump and springy, and when he bit down, it had a crispy texture. This texture and spiciness spread in his mouth, and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Hiss! So spicy, so crispy, so fragrant! From mildly spicy to extremely spicy, the spiciness seemed to change. After eating only one prawn, his forehead was already sweating. Although it was very spicy, the texture was really good, and he didn't want to stop eating, so he continued eating. Feng Jiu saw this and smiled, saying, "Although it's delicious, if you really can't finish it, then don't eat too much." "I can, this is delicious," Hui Lang said. "Then, do you want another pot of wine?" Feng Jiu asked. "Thank you, Ghost Doctor." Hui Lang grinned and quickly thanked him. Thus, Feng Jiu asked someone to send him a pot of wine. Seeing him eat, he asked, "Do you want rice?" "No need for rice." Hui Lang waved his hand and poured himself a cup of wine. Ing Yi, who was in the dark, was a little surprised. Was it really that delicious? However, the chilly water made him frown. If Hui Lang really ate that big pot of chili, he wouldn't be able to stand it. Xianyuan Mose looked at Hui Lang eating and asked, "Is he okay eating like that?" "It's okay, don't worry. At most, he'll have constipation." Feng Jiu smiled. By the time Hui Lang finished eating, it was already 15 minutes later. However, when he turned to look at the two of them, even the two of them who were very calm couldn't help but be stunned. "Master, Ghost Doctor, what's wrong?" Hui Lang asked. His face was slightly red because of the spicy food, but it was hard to tell because of his skin color. His lips were more than half swollen at this time, which made people unable to help but laugh. Feng Jiu stood up and poked her head out to take a look, and was stunned again. She saw that the soup in the basin was also drunk by him. She stared at him and asked, "Why did you drink the soup?" Hui Lang swallowed his saliva and said, "Ghost Doctor, you don't know, but that prawn was really fragrant. The soup was even fresher. I wanted to try it, but I couldn't help but drink it." Burp. He burped and rubbed his stomach. "I'm so full. You ate too much." Seeing this, Feng Jiu's mouth twitched. Looking at his red and swollen lips, he asked, "Your mouth doesn't feel anything? How do you feel?" "I don't feel anything. I've long been numb from the spicy food." As he spoke, he reached out to touch it and was stunned. "Why does it feel different?" Feng Jiu shook his head. With a turn of his hand, he took out a bottle of pills. He poured out one pill and handed it to him. "Eat it. It clears the heat and detoxifies the poison." "Thank you, Ghost Doctor." Hui Lang grinned. "Let's go back. We've been out for a long time today." Feng Jiu looked at Xianyuan Mose and said. Xianyuan Mose responded. He looked at Hui Lang and helplessly shook his head. He walked away with Feng Jiu. Yi came out from the shadows and looked at Hui Lang. He couldn't help but laugh. "You can walk back with this face." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed forward. Chapter 2849. When the people in the residence saw Hui Lang return with a red and swollen mouth, they were all astonished and looked at him curiously. Luo Yu asked, "Hui Lang, what happened to you?" "It's nothing. I drank too much soup and ended up like this," Hui Lang said as he quickly returned to his room. Everyone smiled and didn't ask any more questions. However, They didn't know that he would go to the latrine every day for the next few days. In the rear courtyard, Fengjiu went to her mother's place and told her about the things they had bought that day. Finally, after sitting with her family for a while, she returned to her room. After taking a bath, she lay on the bed and heard footsteps coming in. She took a look and saw that it was Xianyuan Mo's. She said, "My grandfather is willing to let you come back? I thought you would play chess with him the entire night." Xianyuan Mo's lips curved slightly. He took off his outer coat and poured himself a cup of water by the table. He said, "I played 3 games in a row and lost all 3 games. Do you think the old master will keep me for the entire night? Tonight, my mother told me that my older brother has picked a date to send the betrothal gift. He said that he will come to pick up the bride 3 days after the betrothal gifts are sent. I don't think anyone else can be as fast as him." Speaking of this, she smiled. "Looking at how happy my older brother is tonight, it seems that he is also very happy. Marriage is a joyous occasion. Of course he is happy." After drinking the cup of water, Xianyuan Mo sat down by the bed and looked at her lying on the bed. He said, "After he gets married, we should also leave. At that time, we can also send Feng Yi and the others back." "Okay." She nodded in response and lay down a little to make room for him. "I haven't bathed yet. You go to sleep first." He stood up but didn't lie down. Instead, he asked the servants to prepare a bath and went to take a bath first. Seeing this, Fengjiu yawned, turned over, and fell asleep while hugging his blanket. In the following days, the Feng Manor did its best to arrange Guan Xilin's betrothal gift. Everyone became busy. Some of the aristocratic families in the city also knew that Guan Xilin was about to get married, thus they all prepared gifts to congratulate him. Because the 2 places were too far apart, the Yi family also came to the Peach Blossom Dock after Feng Xiao accompanied Guan Xilin to deliver the betrothal gift. This was what Yi Jing and Guan Xilin had discussed. They planned to get married in Peach Blossom Dock. On the day of the wedding, the Guan family, which was next door to the Feng Manor, was filled with red lanterns and a joyous atmosphere. As for the Guan family's ancestral home, after hearing the news, they all sat in the manor and sighed. One wrong step led to many wrong steps. If they had known this would happen, they would not have treated Guan Xilin like that. Otherwise, such an outstanding man would have been the pride of their Guan family. But now, no matter how outstanding he was, even if his surname was Guan, it had nothing to do with their Guan family. On the day of Guan Xilin and Yi Jing's wedding, they only invited a few close friends and family. There were not many outsiders. Even if quite a few people came from far away to congratulate them, they were unable to enter the Guan family's gates. After all, they were not normal people. They also needed to prevent others from taking advantage of this opportunity to cause trouble. Thus, everyone that entered the Guan family had to know their background. On this day, the Feng guards also stood guard outside the Guan manor. Even Luo Yu and the others, after drinking a cup of wine, stood guard outside the manor. It was because of this that nothing happened on this day. Instead, Guan Xilin and Yi Jing's wedding was happily completed. Chapter 2850. As soon as he entered the room, his swaying footsteps stopped, and a smile appeared on his drunken face. He looked at the bride sitting by the bed, wearing a bridal gown and a red veil, and laughed foolishly. "Big brother Guan, why are you laughing foolishly? Hurry up and take off the veil. We want to see the bride." A crowd had gathered outside the door, and half of them had squeezed into the room. That's right. We want to see the bride, and we want to make a scene in the bridal room." Someone joined in the commotion. Guan Xilin, who was about to walk to the bed, came back to his senses. He turned around, looked behind him, and said in surprise, "Why haven't you left yet? We were afraid that you would be too drunk to enter the room. Who knew that you would act as if you didn't drink at all? Big brother Guan, are you pretending to be drunk? Ha 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 ha." Everyone laughed heartily as they looked at Guan Shilin's happy face. They were all happy for him. Hee, brothers, you've seen the bride, and we've made a scene in the bridal room. That's enough. Do you think it's easy for me to get married? Every minute of the night is worth 1,000 gold. Isn't it time to go to the front yard and drink? Guan Shilin laughed loudly, and his smiling eyes swept across the crowd. He couldn't help but have the urge to touch his forehead when he saw that they were surrounding him and didn't want to leave. Thus he called out, "Xiao Jiu, Xiao Jiu." A corner of the roof tile was lifted, and Feng Jiu poked his head out with a smile. "Brother, are you looking for me?" Guan Shilin was startled when he heard the voice. He looked up, and his eyes widened in shock. Why are you on my roof? Isn't today your and sister-in-law's wedding night? I wanted to eavesdrop, but there were too many people in the corner, so I had no choice but to come up here. Feng Jiu said innocently, blinking his eyes and looking at him with a smile. Hearing this, Yi Jing, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, couldn't help but lower her head. Her beautiful face flushed red with embarrassment. None of them were serious. Even Feng Jiu was like that. "Xiao Jiu, you can't do this to your brother. Hurry up and help me bring them to the front for a drink. I'll thank you properly later." Guan Shilin helplessly cupped his hands and asked for her help. Feng Jiu chuckled. "All right. Since Big Brother has said so, then I have to help." She put the tile back and jumped to the ground. Today, she was wearing a green dress, which was also incomparably elegant. As soon as she arrived, the crowd below roared with laughter. Without needing her to say anything, they quickly retreated. "Brother Guan, a moment in the spring is worth 1,000 gold. We won't delay your wedding night. I wish you and sister-in-law a chubby baby next year." Ha 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 ha, the crowd chatted as they walked out. Gradually, only the few of them were left in the bustling inner courtyard. Feng Jiu smiled and poked her head in. "Brother, sister-in-law, I'll be leaving too." She chuckled and walked out. Watching her leave, Guan Shilin breathed a sigh of relief. They're finally gone. These ancestors. He hurriedly closed and locked the door, closed the windows, and looked around before letting out a sigh of relief. Chapter 28:51. "Yes," Yi Jing replied in a small voice. She was a little nervous. Guan Shilin picked up the wedding rod and carefully lifted the red veil on her head. She sat on the edge of the bed and looked up at him shyly. His heart skipped a beat when he saw her, and he grinned foolishly. "Ah Jing, you're so beautiful." He quickly lifted the veil and said, "I'll help you take off the phoenix crown on your head." He carefully took off the phoenix crown on her head and placed it to the side. "Ah Jing, from today onwards, you're mine." He couldn't help but hold her hand. His heart was beating fast. From today onwards, he had a family. This family was different from his adoptive father's. She was his closest relative, and she was the one who would bear his children in the future. Looking at his fiery gaze, Yi Jing's delicate face flushed red. She lowered her eyes and said, "I'll go take a bath and change my clothes first. You can sit for a while." After saying that, she got up and went to the back of the screen. Just then, there was a knock on the door. "Brother Guan." It was Ling Hua's gentle voice. "Coming." Guan Shilin stood up with a smile and went to open the door. "Brother Guan, here are the wedding noodles you wanted." He handed the tray to him. "Haha, Ling Hua, thank you." Guan Shilin took the tray with a smile. "You're welcome. I'll go back now. I wish Brother Guan and sister-in-law a happy marriage. I hope you have a child soon." He turned and left. Guan Shilin closed the door and sat down at the table with his things. When he heard the sound of water coming from behind the screen, he could not help but feel thirsty. He stretched his head slightly to look at the screen, only to see a blurry figure. However, this blurry figure made him feel as if there was a fire burning in his body. He hurriedly poured himself a cup of water and drank it. Only then did he feel the fire in his heart subside slightly. After waiting for a while, he saw the graceful figure behind the screen step out of the bathtub. Those long slender legs, that slender waist that couldn't be held, and those towering peaks that drew a perfect arc in front of her chest, he couldn't help but think of the secret book that Luo Yu and the others had given him. Thinking of the scenes in the book and seeing the alluring figure behind the screen, he only knew that the fire he had suppressed with great difficulty was surging up again, and it was getting out of hand. But when he looked over, he saw the graceful figure standing behind the screen. She seemed to be holding a piece of clothing in her hand, but she didn't seem to know what to do. He couldn't help but ask, "Ah Jing, are you done?" His voice was a little hoarser than usual. I'm almost done." Yi Jing was afraid that he would come in. But when she held the translucent and sexy piece of clothing in her hand, her pretty face flushed red. She was a little shy and nervous. Fengjiu said that he had prepared clothes for her. So it was just this one piece of clothing? But this one, how was she going to wear it out? He had never seen a piece of clothing with so little fabric, and it looked so strange. He didn't know how she got it. "Ah Jing," Guan Shilin called out again, confused. Why was she standing there without moving? "Ah! What's wrong?" Guan Shilin stood up and walked over to the screen. "Do you need my help?" Chapter 2852. Guan Shilin was slightly startled, but he still responded. When he walked to the closet and opened it, he couldn't help but be stunned. "There are no clothes in here. This shouldn't be." Hearing this, Yi Jing couldn't help but touch her forehead. This Fengjiu, she was right. No wonder he took away all the clothes in her space a day in advance. So this was the reason. "Ah Jing, there aren't any clothes behind the screen?" Guan Shilin asked in confusion. Looking at the clothes in her hand, Yi Jing's face turned slightly red. She whispered, "There are." "There are? Then wear them," Guan Shilin said. "But these clothes? Guan Shilin was startled. He asked, "What's wrong with the clothes? Ah Jing?" Hearing his voice, she gritted her teeth and said, "Wait a minute, I'll come out as soon as I'm done." She looked at the two small things in front of her, took a deep breath, gritted her teeth, and put them on. After putting on the clothes, she looked down and couldn't help but feel even better. This simple thing was even more sinful than not wearing anything at all. There was a strange black undergarment on her chest that barely covered her chest. She was worried that the two thin strings would break at any moment. She also had a triangular pair of black pants on her lower body. The fabric was so thin that she didn't dare to look at it. This Fengjiu, what on earth did he do? It wasn't a surprise, it was more like a shock. After putting on the two small pieces, she put on the almost transparent gauze. She looked down, gritted her teeth, and walked out of the screen with a red face. Guan Shilin was waiting outside the screen. Because he didn't dare to look at her beautiful figure, he stood with his back to the screen. Naturally, he didn't know what was going on behind him. When he heard the sound, he turned around to take a look. With one look, he could not help but be stunned. His breathing suddenly became hurried. A flame rose up from his body and rushed to a certain part of his lower body. Yi Jing, who had her head lowered and her face flushed red, inadvertently caught a glimpse of the change in his lower body. Her pretty face instantly turned as red as a cooked prawn. She said in a small voice, "The clothes were prepared by Little Nine." Her hands unconsciously crossed in front of her chest, but she didn't know that her breasts were exposed even more. Guan Shilin was stunned by her breasts, and 2 streams of blood flowed down from his nose without him noticing. Yi Jing, who was blushing and looking down, suddenly saw a drop of blood on the ground. She was shocked and quickly looked up. She saw 2 lines of blood on his nose. His nose. TSSSSS noses. Are you okay? Why are you having a nosebleed?" I'm fine. Guan Shilin came back to his senses. He took out a handkerchief from his sleeve to wipe his nose. As he covered it, He glanced at Yi Jing's seductive figure. He cleared his throat and said, "Ah Jing, there's some food here. Sit down and eat." "Okay." Yi Jing responded and followed him to the table to sit down. However, wearing such a sexy and seductive dress, she also felt uncomfortable all over, especially when she was eating. She felt his burning eyes on her body. Therefore, she asked in a low voice, "Do you want to take a shower?" "Okay." Guan Shilin stood up and reluctantly looked away from her. "Get someone to prepare water for you. There's only water in there." Chapter 2853. Hearing this, Yi Jing's face turned even redder. Guan Shilin entered the bathroom and came out after a quick shower. When he saw Yi Jing sitting in front of the dressing table and drying her hair, he walked up to her and took the handkerchief from her hand. "Let me do it." He looked at the mirror and saw that one of them was standing while the other was sitting in front of the mirror. The reflection in the mirror was like a peach blossom and was extremely shy. When his gaze fell on the reflection in the mirror, his breathing involuntarily became heavier. "Ah Jing, are you full? Why do I feel like you didn't eat much?" There was still a lot of food left on the table. "I'm full," she said softly. Seeing this, he helped her dry her hair and said, "I'm not full yet. Eat a little more with me." "Okay." She responded and went to the table with him. She sat beside him and watched him finish all the food she had left. She couldn't help but ask, "Is it enough? If it's not enough, I'll get someone to send more." "It's enough." He smiled and looked at her. "Next, let's drink cross-cupped wine." As he spoke, he poured 2 cups of wine. They each held a cup and drank with their arms crossed. After drinking a cup of wine, he leaned closer to her and lifted her up. "Ah Jing, let's go to bed." Yi Jing shyly buried her face in his chest and responded softly. She felt him carry her to the bed and put her down. The bed curtains were put down, covering the spring scenery on the bed. 3 days later, in the morning everyone in the residence gathered in the living room. Even Guan Shilin and Yi Jing were there. Seeing that everyone was present, Feng Jiu said, "Zhe and I plan to leave. We don't know when we'll be back this time." "So soon?" Everyone in the living room was surprised and a little reluctant to leave. Feng Jiu smiled. "It's not soon. We've estimated the time we'll be back. Moreover, the journey from here to Penglai Island is not short. We can make arrangements in advance." She paused and smiled. "Moreover, my brother just got married. Naturally, he'll have to stay here longer. So, I plan to send Feng Yi and the others back." "But you..." Guan Shilin was a little hesitant. "Brother, you don't have to worry about us." Feng Jiu smiled and continued, "Based on your current cultivation level, you only need to lay a good foundation before you can break through to the next level. You can stay here and cultivate. That way you can still take care of your family. There's no need for you to go out and train. When your strength reaches a certain level, you can go and challenge the immortal ascension stairs again." Hearing this, Guan Shilin nodded. "Xiao Jiu, Feng Jiu Mo's, Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu. Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu," said Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu, Feng Jiu. Hearing this, everyone fell silent and didn't say anything. It was Feng Sanyuan who said, "All right, then all of you prepare. We'll leave in the evening. This time, when we go to an unfamiliar place, we have to be careful. You have to know that no matter what, safety is the most important." "We know." They nodded. As if remembering something, Shangguan Wanru asked, "Little Nine, do you want to bring Hauer along? He's still so young. Will he?" "Mother, Hauer has an extraordinary background. No matter who I leave him with, I won't be at ease. I have to take care of him myself. Moreover, Leng Shuang and the others will help take care of him." "It'll be fine," Feng Jiu said with a smile. Chapter 2854. Feng Yi looked at his father and mother, then said to Feng Shao, "I'm a man. When I become stronger, I'll come back. Ha ha, good. Feng Sanyuan smiled happily and said with relief, Then when you and Yang Yang return to your master's place, you must cultivate well. Don't make us worry. And I know. Feng Yi replied. Mother had people make some clothes for you and Yang Yang. Come, follow mother to the courtyard and bring those clothes. Su Shi said and went forward to hold his hand, bringing him and Yang Yang back to the courtyard first. Then I'll go back and prepare. Zay, stay with grandfather and the others for a while. Feng Jiu said and left first. In the evening, Feng Jiu, Xianyuan Mose, and the others took them to the flying ship and left. Originally, they wanted to let Fire Phoenix stay, but who knew that they all said that it was useless for Fire Phoenix to stay. They forced her to take her away, leaving only the big black bear to guard the door for them. When they got on the flying ship, the contracted beasts were all walking around. Feng Jiu finally remembered the silver wolf she had forgotten. That's right, why didn't I see the silver wolf this time? Because she didn't have a contract with the silver wolf, and because the contracted beasts usually walked around the manor, there were so many of them around her that she occasionally didn't notice that one was missing. When he heard this, Xianyuan Mose, who was teasing Hao paused and glanced at her. I let Hao form a contract with that silver wolf. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten about it. You let Hao contract with it? Feng Jiu looked in surprise at the child who was dancing in her arms. And, when we were preparing to come over, that wolf also said that it wanted to come. I thought that you had many contracted beasts around you, and you didn't have a contract with the Wolf King by your side, so I wanted to let Hao contract with it. This way, his safety would be more guaranteed. Xianyuan Mose said with a serious expression. However, there was an accident during the contract. When the blood contract was formed, that contracted beast became Hao-er's servant beast. However, because of this, it fell into a coma and hasn't woken up in Hao-er's spirit beast space. Servant beast? You helped them form a master-servant contract? Xianyuan Mose shook his head. No. At that time, I didn't have time to use the master-servant contract on them, but the blood contract between the two sides was formed. Naturally, the master-servant contract was formed, and the Wolf King was sucked into Hao-er's spiritual beast space. Hearing this, Feng Jiu blinked. That silver is a divine beast Wolf King. How could something like that happen? I don't know about this either. I can only say that it should have something to do with Hao-er's identity. Xianyuan Mose said, looking at the child in his arms, also feeling very strange. Feng Jiu looked at the child who was kicking his feet in Xianyuan Mose's arms for a long time, then smiled. No matter what, he is still our son. Anyway, with the two of us teaching him, it's fine as long as he doesn't become a bad child. She reached out and gently tapped the child's nose, smiling. Little fellow, don't you think so? Little Hao grinned, happily waving his hands towards Feng Jiu, looking like he wanted to be hugged. Chapter 28:55. Seeing that she was carrying the child, Xianyuan Mose walked to the front of the ship and looked into the distance. After a while, he seemed to remember something. He turned back and said, By the way, Emo Chen wanted to come with us, but I rejected him. I think he'll go to Penglai first. Emo Chen? Feng Jiu nodded. He didn't think it was strange. Let him be. With his strength and temperament, he should be able to climb the immortal ascension stairs. She carried the child and walked to his side. Let's go see your father, then send Feng Yi and the others back. After that, we'll go directly to Penglai. Okay. Xianyuan Mose nodded. Feng Yi walked up from behind and asked in confusion, Xiao Jiu, what kind of place is the immortal ascension stairs? What's on the immortal ascension stairs? What are you going to do there? Feng Jiu smiled. It's a path that leads to another place, but only those with strength and temperament can climb it. You should go back and cultivate well. You can try going there in the future. Can Ling Hua and the others go up as well? He looked back curiously at Luo Yu and the others. Feng Jiu smiled. They can't go up, but I have a way to bring them there. Seeing his hesitant expression, Feng Jiu knew what he wanted to say. He patted his head and said, "You're still young. Cultivate well here and you won't have to worry about not having a chance." "But Hao is even younger," he said softly. "Hao is different. It's because he's too young that I have to bring him with me." She smiled and said, "All right, look, Yang Yang is sitting there cross-legged cultivating. You can't slack off either. Otherwise, you'll be weaker than Yang Yang in the future. It'll be very embarrassing if she has to protect you all the time." "I won't be weaker than Yang Yang. I'll be stronger than her." He hurriedly ran back to Yang Yang's side and sat down beside her. He also began to cultivate with her. The spaceship shuttled through the clouds, passing by one place after another. During this time, Feng Jiu only rested, cultivated, and ate the things stored in the spaceship. When they arrived at the Xianyuan Empire, the flying ship stopped at the entrance of the imperial palace. When the guards saw the black and red figures coming down from the flying ship, they couldn't help but be shocked. They didn't even bother to salute and ran inside to quickly pass on the message. When the emperor of the Xianyuan kingdom heard from his subordinates that Xianyuan Mose and Feng Jiu had arrived, he was slightly taken aback. They're back? He couldn't help but feel a little happy and a little nervous. The two of them had been in the upper continent for so long, and they finally knew to come back and take a look. Xianyuan Mose led Feng Jiu into the inner palace. The two of them bowed to the person on the main seat. "Greetings, Father. Emperor." Feng Jiu greeted and bowed as well. However, she was carrying a child in her arms, so she only nodded slightly. When the emperor of the Xianyuan kingdom saw the child in Feng Jiu's arms, he couldn't help but smile excitedly. This is your child? My grandson? Quick, bring him over here and let me take a look." When they heard this, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. Feng Jiu walked forward with the child in her arms and looked at him excitedly. "Why doesn't he look like the two of you?" Chapter 2856. Hearing this, the emperor was stunned. "You didn't give birth to him?" "No, but we adopted him." Feng Jiu said. "I see. No wonder he doesn't look like you at all. But he does look cute and delicate." The emperor handed the child back to Feng Jiu and said, "You two have been waiting for so long. I heard that your brother got married recently. Why aren't you two getting married?" "Father, we're not in a hurry," Xianyuan Mose said. "We came back this time to see you. We might not be able to come back for a while." Hearing this, the emperor was stunned and asked, "Why?" "The upper reaches isn't that far from here. You can come back as long as you take the time. Why can't you come back? Did something happen to you guys over there?" "No, we plan to go to Penglai Island to climb the immortal ladder. We plan to go to another place to cultivate, so we might not be able to come back for the next few years," Xianyuan Mose said. Hearing this, the Xianyuan emperor nodded. "I know. There is indeed a legend about that place. However, can you find it? It's said that the immortal ladder is not easy to climb. If you're not careful, you'll fall from it and lose all your cultivation. We found it and I've been there. There's nothing to be afraid of," Feng Jiu said. "Since you've decided, I'll respect your decision. But be careful," the emperor said. "You haven't been back for a long time. Go and get some rest. I'll hold a welcoming dinner for you tonight." "There's no need for a welcoming dinner. I'll bring them around the city tonight. We'll leave tomorrow," Xianyuan Mose said. Seeing this, the emperor nodded. "All right, as you wish. Go." The two of them left and brought the people outside the palace to rest. Feng Yi, who didn't know what fatigue was, brought Yang Yang around the palace. Ling Hua followed the two of them to prevent them from sneaking out of the palace. Luo Yu and the others had the imperial chef prepare some food, and the few of them began to eat and drink in the garden. Ling Shuang and Bai Qingqing were resting in the room with Hao. Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu were also drinking in the courtyard. This place was not in the Feng Manor's territory. Thus, when they arrived, all the contracted beasts were put into her space. It was much quieter. Leaving tomorrow? Wasn't it too hasty? Once we leave, it won't be easy for us to come back, Fengjiu said as he picked up a mouthful of food to eat. It's fine to stay here for a long time. Might as well go earlier, Xianyuan Mose said as he poured himself a glass of wine. Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled and did not say anything else. The two of them ate in the courtyard and then took a nap. It was only in the evening that they took Feng Yi and the others out for a stroll in the city. The next morning, before the sun had even risen, they boarded the flying ship and left. A few days later, the flying ship entered the upper continent. Feng Yi and Zhao Yang were no longer in the mood to cultivate. This was because they knew that the day of their departure was coming. Fengjiu, who saw all of this, called the two of them over and asked with a smile, "What's wrong? Don't want to go back and cultivate? Or are you unwilling to part with us?" Chapter 2857. Upon hearing this, Fengjiu chuckled and said, "For cultivators, time flies like flowing water. Years or even decades pass in the blink of an eye. Moreover, isn't today's parting so that we can reunite tomorrow?" Feng Yi lowered his head and did not say anything. That was true, but they were about to part. They were reluctant to part. As the flying boat shuttled through the clouds, a few days later, they arrived at Wudong Mountain where Feng Ye's master was. They did not go down. When they reached the mountain gate, they let Feng Yi and Zhao Yang go down on their flying swords. Go back and cultivate well. Don't think about anything else. Listen to your master obediently. When you have achieved something in the future, you can go back home to take a look or go out to explore. Fengjiu patted their heads and said, "Yes, we will." The two nodded and turned around to fly down on their flying swords. "You guys take care too." Feng Yi turned around and waved as he shouted. His figure gradually disappeared until he returned to Wudong Mountain. Seeing that they had returned safely, Fengjiu and the others also left on the flying boat. This time, they went directly to their destination, Penglai Immortal Island. 2 months later, when they arrived at Penglai Immortal Island and arrived at the city, Luo Yu and the others felt a little discouraged when they saw powerful people everywhere. They booked a few tables on the second floor and sat together. Luo Yu, who had been holding back for a long time, finally could not help but say, "Why are the people here all so powerful? That shopkeeper just now, he's at the celestial sage level, right? He's so powerful, but he's only a shopkeeper? And those cultivators we met on the street just now, they're all at the celestial sage level," Fanlin said. Fanlin said, when he suddenly came to this place and saw the experts everywhere, his heart was still fiercely shaken. Hearing their words, Fengjiu chuckled. They've all reached this level directly after consuming some things to increase their strength. Don't look down on them just because they're at this level. If they really fight, their combat power is still not solid. Moreover, they can only stay at this level for the rest of their lives and can't advance anymore. Hearing this, everyone understood. So that's how it is. Sir, the dishes are here. The waiter was all smiles as he served them the dishes. After placing 3 plates of the same dishes on the table, he said, "The other dishes will be here soon. Guests, please eat with the wine first." After he finished speaking, he left. As they arrived early, they sat at the 3 tables facing the windows on the second floor. Xianyuan Mose and Fengjiu sat at the table in the middle, while Luo Yu and the others sat on the left and right. Unknowingly, the table in the middle to protect them. Even Ying and the others, who had been following them, follow Xianyuan Mose, and sat to sit with the others' peoples. After all, they were outside, and they had to accompany and protect their masters, so they only tasted the wine and did not drink much. In addition to the wine and dishes, Each table also had a large pot of stewed soup and a bowl of rice. The dishes they ordered were all signature dishes. They tasted good and the portions were sufficient. Everyone was full. After the meal, Leng Hua saw that they were almost done eating and wanted to pay the bill first. Then, he heard Feng Zhou's voice. Chapter 2858. Upon hearing this, Leng Hua froze for a moment, then asked, "Then what do they accept?" "Crystals." Feng Zhou pursed his lips and smiled. He tossed a Qianquan bag to him from his space. "Take it?" "Yes." After Leng Hua took it, he probed it with his divine sense and saw a bag of sparkling crystals. When he thought about how this place didn't accept gold coins but only crystals, he couldn't help but feel his heart ache. These crystals were much more valuable than gold coins. He took the crystals and went to pay the bill. When he came back, he saw Fan Lin, Du Fan, and Bai Qingqing walking over. "Leng Hua, Master wants us to go buy some things." "Okay," Leng Hua responded. After saying goodbye to Feng Zhou and the others, he followed them out of the restaurant. "Leng Hua, bring Hao to me," Feng Zhou said. After having the waiter remove the bowls and chopsticks on the table, she had Leng Hua bring the child to her. "Yes." Ling Shuang responded and carried the child over to her, saying, "The little master ate a bowl of rice paste just now. When we get to the forest, we can eat whatever we want. But Hao still needs to eat rice paste. We have to prepare more of these, in case he doesn't have anything to eat," Feng Zhou said as he played with the child. "I just told Qingqing to buy more," Leng Hua said. "That's good." She nodded. On the other side, Fan Lin said, "Let's go look at some medicinal herbs first. When we go out, we have to prepare some common medicinal herbs. Also, Master just said that because there are many medicinal herbs here, the prices aren't very expensive. We can buy more just in case." "Okay," they responded. After asking around, they went to the largest medicinal herb trading company in the city. Even though they were Feng Zhou's subordinates, they dressed according to their personalities. Although they did not dress in the same way, the material of their clothes was still of high quality. Coupled with their extraordinary temperament and appearance, they naturally attracted some attention when they walked together. As soon as they entered the trading company, a medicine boy inside greeted them. "Young masters, may I know what you need? We are the largest medicinal herb trading company in the city, and we have the most complete collection of medicinal herbs. Let's take a look around first. If we need anything, we'll let you take it," Fan Lin said as he looked around to see if there were any medicinal herbs he needed. "All right, young master, if you need anything, just let me know," the apprentice said as he watched from the side. "Fan Lin, buy some anti-snake, insect, rat and ant medicine. We don't have much left," Du Fan said, waving the fan in his hand. "Young master, we have prepared a medicine that repels snakes, insects, rats, and ants," the medicine boy said from the side. Fan Lin shook his head. "No need. Give me the original ingredients. I want to take them back and prepare them myself." Hearing this, the medicine boy was stunned for a moment and quickly responded, "Okay, please wait for a moment. I will immediately pick out some original ingredients for young master." The medicine boy went inside and picked out a set of original ingredients. These were all taken back to grind and refine by oneself. Because the finished ingredients were not that expensive, most people would buy the finished ingredients directly. Very few people would buy the finished ingredients and grind them themselves. "Young master, please take a look. Is this enough?" The medicine boy picked out a set of ingredients and placed it on the table as he asked Fan Lin. Chapter 2859. The medicine boy was slightly taken aback when he heard this. He was puzzled. Why did he still need those things? However, he still answered and went inside to take out some of the medicinal herbs he wanted. He then picked another set. After checking, Fan Lin nodded and said, "Wrap these up first. We'll calculate them together later. Yes, young master, the medicine boy said and followed them inside. When he saw suitable medicinal herbs, he would show them to Fan Lin and report the price of those herbs. After picking out the herbs, Fan Lin saw that some of them were for research. However, they didn't bring any grinding tools. Therefore, he asked, "You should have grinding tools here, right? Can I borrow them?" "Well, I'll have to ask the shopkeeper first," the medicine boy said. Fan Lin smiled and said, "Then tell your shopkeeper that I'll give you some extra crystals as payment." Hearing this, the medicine boy smiled and replied, "Okay. Please wait for a moment, young master. I'll be right back." "We're going to grind here?" Du Fan raised his eyebrows. "Yes, we brought the pill furnace. However, we don't have all the grinding tools. If we borrow their tools, it shouldn't take long." Fan Lin said to them, "How about this? You can go and buy other things later. Come back and find me later." Seeing this, Ling Hua said, "Du Fan and Qing Qing go together. I'll stay and help." "Okay." Du Fan nodded and went to buy other things by Qing Qing. Their master gave each of them a cosmos sack filled with crystals. Therefore, each of them had a lot of crystals on them. Du Fan and Bai Qing Qing were shopping in the shop. They walked through a few streets and bought everything they needed. Just as they were about to go back, they saw a man in brocade clothes who was riding a horse. He was looking at Bai Qing Qing, who was dressed in white. Du Fan frowned slightly and glanced at the man. He didn't say anything and just blocked the man's view with his body. They didn't want to cause trouble and make enemies in this place. "Why are you blocking me? Get out of my way." The man in embroidered clothes on the horse frowned and shouted. He was looking at the beautiful woman, not the scholarly man holding a fan. He, young master is so overbearing." Du Fan smiled and didn't move aside. He only looked at the man in embroidered robes who was riding a horse down the cliff and said, "We aren't blocking your path. If you want to pass, then let us pass." He led Bai Qing Qing to the side and opened up a path. It was rare for him to make such a concession. "Chi!" The man in embroidered clothes sneered, looking like a rich playboy. He raised his chin slightly and cast a sidelong glance at Du Fan. "Who do you think you are? There's nothing in this city that I can't get." As soon as he said that, he inexplicably thought of something that caused his expression to change for a moment. "Go. Bring that woman over so that I can have a good look at her." He gestured and more than 10 celestial sage guards rushed forward and surrounded the two of them. Seeing this, Du Fan's gaze turned cold. Bai Qing Qing, who was behind him, walked out from behind him and stared coldly at the man on the horse. Chapter 2860. Du Fan glanced at the celestial sage cultivators surrounding them. His eyes flashed. He stopped Bai Qing Qing, who was about to step forward, and gently waved the fan in his hand. "You want us to follow you?" That's right. The two of them had good looks and manners. They were even more outstanding than his guards. The woman in white, in particular, was very pleasing to the eye. It would be good to keep her by his side. Hearing this, Du Fan smiled and said, "Thank you for thinking so highly of us. We have 2 more brothers. Would you be interested in taking them in as well?" Bai Qing Qing was slightly stunned. She did not know what he meant. However, Du Fan's ability to adapt was much better than hers. Although she did not know what he meant, she believed that he must have a plan. Therefore, she stood quietly and did not speak. "There are 2 more?" The man's eyes lit up. "Where are they? How do they look? Are they magnanimous? What skills do they have?" "They are in the medicinal ingredient store on the next street. Although they are not as strong as your guards, in terms of looks and manners, your guards are not as good as us." Speaking of this, Du Fan's face bloomed into a smile. He gently fanned himself with the fan in his hand, looking very elegant. "Moreover, I am proficient in the art of formations. The girl beside me is proficient in swordsmanship. As for the other two brothers, one is proficient in medicine, and the other is as meticulous as dust. He smiled and asked, "Would you like to take them in?" "Of course. Of course. Quickly, bring me there." The man in the brocade robe smiled. He waved his hand and let Du Fan and the others lead the way. The dozen or so celestial sage cultivators surrounding them naturally retreated and followed the two in front of them to the next street. At the Dragon Boat Festival, Leng Hua helped Fan Lin pack the ground medicinal powder. Just as he was about to pay, the shopkeeper looked at the two of them with a smile. "Young masters, would you be willing to sell us a pack of these medicinal herbs?" the shopkeeper asked. Hearing this, Fan Lin smiled and shook his head. "These are for personal use. They are not for sale." The shopkeeper, who had been secretly watching from the side, could not help but feel anxious when he heard this. "I am willing to buy them at double the price. Actually, I saw that your medicinal herbs are different from the ones made by our apothecary, so I thought, even if I give them to you, you can't make the same medicinal herbs as mine." Fan smiled and said, "In addition to your medicinal herbs, I have added other medicinal herbs. Even if I give them to your apothecary to make them, your apothecary, he can't make them." "This, young master, can we discuss this?" the shopkeeper tried to ask again. After all, the medicine in their shop was really not as good as this one. Fan Lin's eyes flickered when he saw the shopkeeper's reaction. "Shopkeeper, do you really want it?" To be. I can sell a pack to the shopkeeper, but it's 200 crystals per pack." He laughed and took out one of the packs. "How about it? 200 crystals?" The shopkeeper was stunned for a moment. The medicine he had just bought did not even cost 200 spar, but when he thought about it, maybe after getting that bag of medicine, they could concoct the same amount of medicine. If they sold it in the shop, the 200 spar would be earned back very quickly. He had seen them try the medicinal herbs behind them. Even the snakes did not dare to come close. It was definitely something good. Chapter 2861. Therefore, Fan Lin sold him a packet. This meant that he didn't have to spend any money on anything he bought in the pharmacy. Just as they were about to leave with the herbs, they saw Du Fan and Bai Qingqing walking over. Behind them was a man in brocade robes riding on a horse and a dozen celestial sage guards. "Are you done?" Du Fan asked when he saw them. Fan Lin and Ling Hua looked at each other and walked over. "We're about to go back. What are you doing?" Fan Lin asked as he looked at the people behind them. Du Fan covered his mouth with a fan and smiled. "This young master said he wanted to take us in. I remembered that there were two of you, so I asked him to bring you along." Fan Lin smiled when he heard this. He glanced at the man in brocade robes and didn't say anything. When Leng Hua saw this, he sized up the man in brocade robes and asked gently, "How should I address you, young master?" "This is our young city lord," one of the guards said. "Oh, so it's the young city lord." Leng Hua nodded and asked, "Why does the young city lord want to take us in?" "What? Are you too unwilling?" The man in brocade robes snorted coldly. There was some displeasure on his face. Leng Hua smiled gently and said, "Of course not. It's our fortune that the young city lord thinks highly of us. However, we already have a master. Since the young city lord wants us, why don't we ask our master if he's willing to give us to the young city lord?" "You have a master?" He frowned and looked at Du Fan with slight annoyance. "Why didn't you say so just now?" "The young city lord didn't ask," Du Fan said matter-of-factly. "Humph." He snorted and looked at the three men and one woman in front of him. He had to admit that these people were very eye-catching when they stood together. They were very unusual. If he could take them in, they might come in handy. However, he didn't know what kind of person their master was. "Where is your master? I want to see, other than this young master, what kind of person has the qualifications to be your master." As he spoke, He gestured for them to lead the way. Then please follow us, young city lord. My master is in the restaurant up ahead. Du Fan said with a smile, waving his fan as he walked forward. Seeing this, the man riding the horse followed them to the restaurant. He looked at the 4 people walking in front of him, and snorted coldly in his heart. Did they think that he didn't know what they were planning? They just wanted to go to their master's place and find some helpers. However, in this city, who was Ling Tianyu afraid of? As the young master of the city, and with his father and grandfather as his backing, he was only afraid of that damned Fengjiu. As for that brat, it was likely that he would never come to this place again in his life. Naturally, he had nothing to fear. When other people came to this city, no matter how powerful they were, they would not be able to escape from his grasp. Some of the people in the city saw that there was something interesting to watch, and some of them followed behind and talked about it. Among them, there were also some cultivators. These people are not very strong, but the young city lord has his eyes on them. However, these people have extraordinary temperament. I wonder where they come from. Chapter 2862. Fengjiu and the others, who didn't know what was going on, were still sitting in the restaurant. Because it was close to noon, there were more and more people. The tables on the second floor were quickly filled. Those who went up to the second floor all looked at Fengjiu, Xianyuan Mose, and the others. Their eyes were filled with surprise, and 1 or 2 of them had a strange expression. Hey, look at that woman in red. Doesn't she look like the person who taught the young city lord a lesson half a year ago? Hearing this, the people at the same table all looked at the beautiful woman in red. With one look, they couldn't help but be startled. It seems like it. I've seen that face before. It seems like it's her. For a moment, the few people who remembered how powerful this person was couldn't help but secretly guess. Which blind person would provoke her this time? Last time, the young city lord almost became her slave. In the end, it was the city lord who saved the young city lord. You came here last time too? Xianyuan Mose asked. Because he heard those people's words, he knew that something unforgettable had happened here. Fengjiu chuckled. Last time, the young city lord, Ling Tianyu, almost became my slave. Other than that, there was nothing else. Master, the ghost doctor, Du Fan, and the others are back. However, it seems like there are many people following behind them. Hui Lang, who was paying attention to the outside, looked at the people coming from the street. Fengjiu glanced at the people on the street. Other than Du Fan and the others, he also saw the person who was talking just now, Ling Tianyu. I met an old acquaintance again. What a small world. She sighed and shook her head in amusement. Xianyuan Mose looked outside. His gaze fell on the man in embroidered clothes who was riding a horse. He asked, "Who is this person?" "This is the young master of the city, Ling Tianyu," Fengjiu said with a smile. Looking at the situation below, he said, "I guess his old illness is acting up again." "What kind of old illness?" Xianyuan Mose raised his eyebrows. "Robbing someone on the street," Fengjiu said with a smile. As soon as she said that, Xianyuan Mose's face darkened, and he glanced at Lingyu with a heavy gaze. Did that mean that this brat had the idea of snatching his aju back then? On the street, when Ling Tianyu saw the red figure sitting by the window of the restaurant from afar, she felt inexplicably uneasy. Why did he feel that something was amiss? That red figure also looked somewhat familiar. It seemed to be Fengjiu? How could this be? That person had already gone to some unknown place, so why would he come here again? He must be thinking too much. However, even so, his heart was still in a mess. Especially when he saw the 4 people in front of him walking leisurely, he felt that something was wrong. These 4 people had not been afraid or panicked from the beginning. They even led him here. Were they sure that their master was more powerful than him? Thinking of this, he could not help but ask, "The one in front, the one with the fan. Du Fan was startled. He turned around and asked with a smile, "Young master, are you calling me?" "My name is Du Fan, not the one with the fan." "Who cares what your name is? Let me ask you, what is your master's name?" he asked, staring at Du Fan. Chapter 2863. Seeing that they didn't say anything, Ling Tianyu couldn't help but hesitate. Especially when he saw the red figure on the roof of the restaurant becoming clearer and clearer, he became even more nervous. Could it really be that pervert Feng Jiu? He immediately reined in his horse and refused to go forward. He stared at the second floor of the restaurant, but because there were some obstructions, he couldn't see clearly. However, when he was about to withdraw his gaze, he saw the red figure stretch out half of its body and casually lean against the window. When he saw the person clearly, he was so frightened that he cried out and rolled off the horse's back. "Young master!" No one expected that he would fall off the horse for no reason, and hurriedly went forward to help him up. "Quick, let's go." It was actually that pervert. It really was that pervert Feng Jiu. No, he had to turn back quickly in case he was seen and couldn't leave. "Young master, you're not leaving?" Du Fan looked back and was a little surprised. Cough. Ling Tianyu coughed lightly and said, "I suddenly remembered that there are some things that I need to deal with. Let's forget about today's matter. Hurry, let's go." He waved his hand and signaled for the guards to leave quickly. Just as he was about to get on his horse, he heard a voice that seemed to be laughing yet not laughing. "Ling Tianyu, your old habits are acting up again?" On the second floor, Feng Jiu looked at Ling Tianyu, who was so scared that he wanted to run away. He chuckled and said, "This time you have your eyes on my people? It seems that the lesson from last time didn't teach you a lesson." Hearing this voice, Ling Tianyu's body stiffened. For a moment, she didn't know whether she should leave or not. She stood there stiffly, not knowing whether she should leave or not. At this moment, the guard beside her was berating her. "Impudent! How dare you call the young master by his name?" shouted one of the guards. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped on the head. "Idiot! You're courting death!" Ling Tianyu glared and cursed in a low voice. He looked at the second floor, gritted his teeth, and walked up. When he arrived at the second floor of the restaurant, he saw Feng Jiushi, who was wearing a red dress, leaning against the wall. His eyes flashed. Last time, he knew that this guy was also a woman, but he didn't expect this guy to be so beautiful after wearing women's clothes. Just as he was looking, he suddenly felt a sharp and cold gaze land on him with a powerful pressure, causing him to be unable to breathe. He hurriedly returned to his senses, and only then did he notice that there was a handsome man in a black robe sitting beside Feng Jiu. At this moment, the black-robed man was staring at him with his deep and sharp black eyes. That gaze caused him to shiver. "Master, when we went shopping, we bumped into this young man. He said that he wanted to take us in. We thought that we should come back and ask for your opinion," Du Fan said with a smile and looked at Ling Tianyu with a teasing look. Hearing that, Ling Tianyu's skin tightened and his body stiffened. He glared at Du Fan and said, "If you had told me earlier that your master was such a pervert, I wouldn't have targeted you." "I didn't know," Du Fan said, waving his fan. Ling Tianyu gritted his teeth and ignored him. After taking a deep breath, he looked at Feng Jiu. "What are you doing here again? Aren't you worried that you'll meet the people who tried to kill you last time?" Feng Jiu glanced at him and said, "What? You're interested in the people around me again? You want to make a bet with someone again? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.